right now, and one of you suggested Tokyo Revengers, and I did some research on it, and it was from Weekly Shonen Magazine, which I'm a big fan of the stuff that they produce. Like I said, I like Fire Force and Seven Deadly Sins, and Eden Zero, which, God, I'm so angry that Eden Zero is in Netflix jail. Eden Zero is going on right now, and I wanted to watch it, but it's a Netflix jail. I'll have to look and see if I can VPN it or something. Maybe it's in a different service that I have access to. But when you're in Netflix jail, Netflix does not simulcast. So you have to wait until all the episodes of the season are out, and then they compile them in and do whatever, and then they release it like 6 months to a year later. It's super annoying. So Eden Zero is another Weekly Shonen Magazine manga or anime I would like to see, but Tokyo Revengers on Crunchyroll, so we'll get to see that. But so I checked it out, and I was really I was intrigued by it. It reminds me of Erased in terms of its premise. So the main character, whose name escapes me right now, he's 26 years old, and he's kind of a loser, lives by himself, and he works at looks like a bookstore or like a DVD selling store. And he's lamenting over the fact that his middle school girlfriend was killed by a local gang. And when he's walking home from work to the train, he gets pushed off the train, pushed off the tracks. He's laying on the tracks. And before the train hits him, he goes back in time to when he was in middle school, and he was a part of a small-time gang of friends of his. And this kind of like starts off the story pretty quickly. So it's the same premise as Erased. In Erased, the main character goes back in time to save a friend of his from being murdered, and it turns out that there's a bigger conspiracy going on, and it kind of looks like Tokyo Revengers is going down that same route. However, it's clearly going to be a much longer story, and it's clearly taking a direction more of like a gang crime drama. So the main character goes back in time, and he's doing all the things people would do when they went back in time. At first, he thought he was just dead and reliving his life before his eyes before he dies. And he eventually meets up with his old friends, and they get into a fight with the gang, part of the gang, this is how I'm taking it, that was responsible for the death of his first girlfriend and her brother. And they get their butt whooped by this gang, and they become basically subservient to that gang. So their gang gets absorbed by this bigger gang. I can't, I'm still new to this series. I can't think of the gang's name. As I go on, I'll get all these terms down. But it's clear to him at that point that these events are what led to the death of this girl. And so after he gets into a fight, he actually goes to her apartment, and he goes to see her. And then he makes the determination that he's going to change things. And so then he meets her little brother in a park. And he basically flat out tells him that he's from the future and that he needs to man up basically and protect his sister. And the little brother is actually not, doesn't think he's crazy, is not taken aback by it. And as soon as the little brother, his name escapes me too. Like I said, I've only seen the episode once, and I need to get acquainted with all these characters. But he shakes his hand, and as soon as he shakes his hand, he goes back into the future. And don't let me leave this part out either. Before he went to the past, he was about to get nailed by a train. But because of what he did with the little brother, he wakes up in a hospital, and this person walks in the room, a much older version of a person, and it's the little brother, and he remembered everything that happened. And so then the main character asked him if the girl also survived, and it turns out she did not. And then the little brother pleads that he goes back in time again to make things right. And then the episode ends. So it's clear that that's going to be the theme of the series, is that these two pair are going to be going back in time multiple times and trying to correct this. Now, I didn't do any other reading on this, so I didn't spoil this. So I'm just kind of going to do my own speculation. It's clearly, you can go read the manga and catch up right now. But what I'm going to do is I'll cover this weekly on the episodes, and then I'll read the manga afterwards. But What I don't know is happening here is when they go back in time, does he have to start over from the same spot every time, like in ReZero, without a save point, or if he goes back in time again, does he go start where the last start point was, where in this case was the park with the little brother? Those are some questions that I had at the end of the episode, but from the images that I saw online, like the one I have here, this is one of the promotional images, it looks like he's going to try to infiltrate this gang and get to the higher ranks to take it down from the inside, making them unable to kill the girl in the future. And the main character, I think, was like 26 years old, and he's got such an interesting transformation. As a 26-year-old, he looks lame. Like the main character's in the middle here, the blonde kid. He his clearly doesn't dye his hair anymore in the future. He looks a lot thinner. The middle school version of him looks more menacing, more, I guess you could say, masculine than his future counterpart. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes back and forth, because as things are happening, I wonder what kind of changes are going to happen to the main character in the future as well, not just the things around him. So I will be covering this anime every Wednesday, just giving my thoughts on it. And then since it is in Weekly Shonen Magazine, I will probably cover it later on. Like I said, I'm a big fan of their publication, only because it's a shonen magazine, but it's on the older side of things. Like if you, it's more targeted towards like college students, and that's why I tend to gravitate to those stories more, because I feel like they're more interesting. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Black Clover, but not every single thing in Shonen Jump is super interesting anymore. Especially now that they're doing their series aren't going to be long going anymore. Like Demon Slayer's over. Demon Slayer was good. I guarantee you Dr. Stone's about to end. If you're reading Dr. Stone, it's about to end. I give it one more arc and it's done. I've heard Jujutsu Kaisen's only going to last another 2 years, or at least the author said that. That doesn't mean anything, though. You know, Shonen Jump could, or Shueisha could come in and be like, "Here, have some more running, do more chapters." Who knows? Because it's a big hit right now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not comparing the two. I just prefer the older storylines. I mean, I'm more of a fan of seinen manga, but seinen, the only one seinen I'm reading right now is Berserk, and that's about it. So, yeah. Check out this episode, check out this anime. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me if you want me to keep covering it. I'm going to keep covering because I find it interesting. But yeah, but that's all I've got this week. So we were blessed with 2 awesome chapters of Fire Force. We had a really interesting chapter of Black Clover. Next week is the next one. I don't think they're doing a hiatus, or not a hiatus. They're not skipping a week. And then Tokyo Revengers, and then hopefully I will be able to start my World Trigger coverage next month, because I went on hiatus this month, but apparently it's coming back next month, but we'll see. So that's all I got.